Step outside tonight and look up. Not at a streetlight, not at your phone, just up. Now picture this. The air is clear, the moon is there, and the weather is calm. But behind the moon, there is nothing. No constellations, no Milky Way, no tiny sparkles. Just a smooth black ceiling like someone erased the universe with one swipe. And the weird part is, your brain would not accept it, because stars are not just pretty dots. They are a map, a clock, and a quiet reminder that the world is bigger than your day. So what happens if the night sky suddenly has no stars at all? Okay, first we need to define the problem. No stars can mean two very different things. One, the stars are still out there, but their light is not reaching you. Two, the stars actually vanished. We are going to start with the more realistic option, then we will peek at the impossible one later. At first, most people would blame normal stuff: clouds, smoke, light pollution, their eyes. Someone would say, maybe the power company changed the streetlights. Then the messages would start. Do you see anything? My sky is blank too. Is this an eclipse? Is this the end? People would drive to darker places. They would climb rooftops, they would stand in fields and look up in silence. And if the moon is up, you might still see it. You might even see Venus or Jupiter because they are bright and close. But the deep background of stars would be gone. That is when the fear shows up, because if the stars are gone, people start thinking the sun might be next. And if the sun goes, we are done. So the first big feeling would not be wonder, it would be panic. Within an hour, observatories would be calling each other. Telescopes would point up from every continent. Space agencies would check satellites. Astronomers would compare data and quickly notice a key clue. The stars did not fade slowly. They disappeared everywhere at the same time. That usually means the stars did not die. Something between you and space is blocking the light. So what could block starlight? Here's the important thing. Stars are faint. The moon is bright. Your eyes can see faint things only when the sky is truly dark. If the sky becomes even a little brighter, stars vanish first. One likely cause is a thin haze high in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere. Not the kind that makes you cough, but the kind that sits above weather, like a giant invisible veil. Tiny particles up there can scatter faint starlight until it is too weak to reach your eyes. Another cause is air glow. Earth's upper atmosphere can glow naturally after sunlight charges it during the day. Usually it is extremely faint. But if something pumps extra energy into those gases, the glow can brighten and wash out the stars, like turning up a dim nightlight in a dark room. Okay, but what could cause that sudden change? A strong solar storm can energize the upper atmosphere and create bright auroras, plus extra glow. A huge volcanic eruption can throw ash and sulfur particles high into the stratosphere. A meteor breaking up in the upper air can spread dust. None of these options are fun, but they are realistic, and they all point to the same idea. The universe did not switch off, your window to the universe got foggy. One more clue would show up on screens, not in the sky. If a solar storm is behind the glow, radios may crackle, GPS could drift a little, and power companies would watch transformers closely. In rare cases, currents induced in long power lines can overload equipment and cause outages. So a blank sky might be the first visible hint that space weather is punching Earth's atmosphere right now. Even if the cause is just haze or glow, the emotional hit would be huge. Humans have used stars for tens of thousands of years. We turn them into stories. We use them to mark seasons. We use them to travel. So a starless sky would feel wrong in a deep way, like waking up and noticing the ocean is gone. In big cities, some people might not notice right away because city lights already hide most stars. But in deserts, mountains, villages, and islands, it would be shocking. The night would feel flatter and closer, like the sky dropped down. And then the internet would do what it does. Videos would go viral, some would be real, many would be fake. People would shout wild theories, aliens, secret weapons, a new kind of war. And of course, there would be jokes, because humans laugh when they are scared. But underneath all the noise, one question would keep growing. If the stars are gone, what else is changing that we cannot see? The first week, real effects start. Within days, you would see practical problems. First, navigation becomes less safe in certain situations. Most planes and ships rely on GPS, radar, and instruments, but professionals still train for backup methods, and stars are part of that backup. If satellites are also affected by a solar storm, losing stars at the same time would feel like losing two safety nets. Second, some animals would get confused. Many birds use star patterns as part of migration. Some insects use the night sky for direction. When the sky changes suddenly, more animals can make mistakes. You might see odd migration timing and more disoriented birds near cities. Third, astronomy takes a hit. Tracking asteroids, monitoring space weather, and studying Earth's atmosphere depend on clear observations. A brightened sky makes ground telescopes less useful, which slows down early warning systems. Quick pause. If you are enjoying this, subscribe. We do these what-if stories in plain English, and they make normal life feel a little more interesting. Now, back to the science. They would measure the sky with instruments, not just eyes. They would check how bright the sky is in different colors. They would compare readings from many locations. They would launch weather balloons to sample the upper air. They would use satellites to look at the glow of Earth from above. If it is dust, the scattering will leave a clear pattern because different particle sizes scatter light differently. If it is energized gas, sensors will detect specific glow signatures because different gases emit different colors when excited. In other words, the sky would leave fingerprints. Then comes the real question: how long will it last? If it lasts a month, if the stars stay gone for a month, life continues, but stress builds. People who love the night sky would feel a real loss. Cultures that use star calendars for events would feel unanchored. Stargazing tourism would collapse, and more people would spend nights indoors because the outdoors feels less magical when the ceiling is empty. On the other hand, the moon and bright planets would stand out more. Venus could look like a bright jewel. Jupiter could look like a tiny lamp. It would be beautiful in a lonely way. Now let's peek at the impossible version. What if the stars actually vanished? Here's the twist. If a distant star turned off right now, you would still see it for years because light takes time to travel. So a true instant no stars event cannot be explained by faraway stars dying. If you see the sky go blank instantly, the problem is almost certainly here, close to Earth. And if the sun vanished too, you would get about 8 minutes of normal daylight, then darkness. Temperatures would drop fast. Plants would stop making food. Within weeks, the world would start to break. So if daytime still happens, your main lifeline is still alive. That means our starless night is a warning sign, not the end of everything. A night with no stars would remind us of something we forget. We live inside a thin blanket of air. That blanket protects us, but it can also change what we see. A little dust, a little glow, a little extra energy from the sun, and the universe can look empty. So what would you do on that first starless night? You would probably do the simplest thing. You would look up, feel confused, then feel quiet, and then you would hope the sky clears. And when the stars finally come back one by one, it will not feel normal. It will feel like you got something precious back, because the night sky was never background. It was the biggest shared picture humans have ever had. So what if the night sky suddenly had no stars? First comes disbelief, then fear, then questions. The most likely cause is not the universe shutting off, but something changing between Earth and space, like haze in the upper atmosphere or a sudden boost in airglow, often linked to solar activity or major particles in the sky. And if the stars return, you will understand why people have looked up for thousands of years. Not because they needed answers, but because the stars made the dark feel less alone. Subscribe for more. And next time you see a single star, take a second and appreciate how far that tiny light traveled just to reach your eyes.